talk on this Sunday morning, February, not just about women's physical health, but also their financial health. And joining us this morning, estate and wills expert attorney Danielle Mayoras with a checklist she's got going for women and I guess men too, actually, but kind of looking at themselves, looking at their families, looking at their financial health. First of all, how are you doing these days?
I'm doing very good.
How's the estate business doing?
Good, busy, because everyone needs it.
Everyone needs it. What age do you recommend someone getting a will or an estate plan?
I think it's something at the age of 18 you start to explore this, because then you're an adult.
Yeah, and if you have kids, for sure, then, right?
Absolutely. Young couples need this, whether they have kids or not, older individuals dealing with long-term care issues. Really, every milestone age is an individual who needs this as soon as they turn 18.
Who do you think knows more about their financial health, men or women?
Well, it depends on the individual. I don't want to stereotype, but a lot of times in my office, what I see when I'm working with a couple is that one of them is in charge of all the finances and knows what's going on, and the other doesn't because they rely on their partner. And that can be dangerous. We want to take ownership and know what we have and how it's titled.
All right, so I'm coming to you, I'm thinking about an estate plan or whatever, but you have a checklist now, so let's promote this checklist.
Okay.
What's the top of the checklist that people should know about when they're talking about their financial health?
Really basic. Just know your assets and how they're titled.
What's an asset?
An asset could be anything from a bank account, credit union account, life insurance, stocks, bonds, mutual funds.
And what should you know about it?
Well, you need to know how much you have, obviously. You also want to make sure that it's titled properly and you have the proper beneficiary. Because, you know, a lot of people might use joint ownership, or they might have a trust and not put an asset in their trust. So there's a lot of things we want to look for with the really simplistic ownership.
And I've got this over here. What is it? Store your assets in a safe place. What do you recommend? Where do you store this stuff?
I think it's really important. You know, people can do all this estate planning and financial planning, and then their loved ones, if something happens to them, can't find it.
Yeah.
So you want to put it in a fireproof box. I like to do that, or a safe deposit box.
We have that.
Good. And do your decision makers know where it is and how to access it? Because that's the second part of this.
Yes, I think unless the entire family gets wiped out, I think. But yes, I think they do.
Good. So you check that off the list.
Check that off the list. I've got two of them, I think. What's the third one? What's next?
Well, the third thing I like to say, which also sounds simple, but people don't often do it, is read something before you sign it. Don't just rely on your partner or a professional. Like, really take ownership and read it over to make sure you understand what you're signing.
When you're going for a house, you've got thousands of papers. Nobody reads that stuff.
Well, you have to understand big picture, and the other part of that is if you're working with a professional you trust, then you can rely on them. And the key is to surround yourself with professionals you can trust, attorney, financial advisor, CPA, so that when you are signing documents, you know that they've been reviewed and you're comfortable and they're in your best interest.
All right, last thing on the checklist. What do you have?
Well, the last thing on the checklist is to talk to all those other women in your life. It is Women's Health Month, and the men too, but moms, daughters, best friends. You know, we want to make sure not only to do this for ourselves and get those things off the checklist, but also that our loved ones have that taken care of as well.
You find that people these days, are they making more estate plans or wills? You always have a will, but it's different than a will and an estate plan. You have a will within an estate plan, I guess.
Right. Yeah. I think we want everyone to be doing it. 2/3 of Americans still don't have a simple will, which obviously in my line of practice is always surprising to me. Yeah. So it's important that at the very least you have the will and the power of attorneys, and then ideally for most people it involves a trust and all the other comprehensive documents.
I think we talked about the Aretha Franklin estate last time we were on.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to me that someone with that type of income didn't have a real will or an estate plan.
Well, I think it's really typical. You know, in her situation, maybe there was a distrust of professionals. A lot of times people want to get it just right. People procrastinate. So one of the things I actually do in my office is after my clients sign documents, I give them another 3 months to make changes at my expense, because so many people put it off, and then sometimes it is too late.
What's the biggest decision that someone has to make when they're making a will? Who gets my assets. That's not probably the biggest
I
one.
think it's who takes care of my kids if something happens to me.
Oh, yeah.
That is, I think, probably one of the hardest things to decide, because as a parent, if you're not around, those day-to-day decisions, medical care, raising your kids, I think is what a lot of parents really struggle with.
Where do people get a hold of you, Danielle?
Well, thank you for asking. They can find me at my law firm at brmmlaw.com.
Yeah. Any more books coming out?
TBD. We'll see.
Oh, maybe. All right, Danielle. Always good. Good advice.
Thank you for
I do like the
having me.
checklist. Keep your stuff in a safe place. That's the big takeaway,
Yes.
I think. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Always like you on the show. All right.